WWII. Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Francis Pullum. Some of you know me as Iron Bloke. I'm a military historian and a reenactor. I used to do YouTube quite a lot and I'm thinking of doing it again. Today we're going to have a very quick look at Soviet tank helmets from World War II pattern to modern day to see, is your Soviet tank helmet accurate? So if you're anything like me, you go to any sort of reenactment and you see a load of Soviet reenactors in their Soviet infantry uniforms and you think, oh wow, they look really good. But then something comes along like a BA-64 armoured car or a T-34 and they produce a tank helmet out of nowhere and stick it on their heads, and so it doesn't quite look right, does it? So we're going to have a quick look at a few hats from my collection and compare them to each other to see what a accurate Soviet tanker's helmet from World War II looks like and what some of the post-war helmets you will see floating around are. This is a 1936 pattern of Soviet tank helmet. This is a replica. I got this from WWII, which is a very good uniform selling website, and this is as accurate as you're going to get for an authentic Soviet tanker's helmet from the Second World War period. Now, the helmets come in many different subtypes, but the rule of thumb is this here is actually what you're going to see. So there's a few things we need to look out for to start with. First of all, notice that the helmet has 1, 2, 3 ridges. Now that's really important. The Soviet Union only issued tank helmets with 3 ridges over the head in World War II. Notice as well we've got a really large pad across the forehead, which is, it goes from one side of the helmet to the other. For the ears, we have these buckles which only protect the earphone on the inside. On the inside, they are simply, the lighting's awful, but I don't care. They're simple ties that you'd put the electronics in and tie it shut. Also notice that when I hold it up properly, one side is shorter than the other. Now these features are the key points to World War II Soviet tankers helmets. Now there are some variations. So this is a summer helmet, so it's got absolutely no fur on the inside. It is just fabric, and it ends, as I said, with these mismatch chin straps that wrap around the bottom of the head. Winter 1936 helmets come in 2 different patterns themselves. Ones which are identical to the summer ones, except the inside is lined with fur, and those which have extensions to the sides of the helmet that wrap around the entire bottom of the neck. So that's your very brief look at what a accurate Soviet World War II helmet would look like. So this is what it looks like when it's on my head. It does muffle sound a little bit. It's not as bad as some of the helmets we're going to look at in a minute, but that is mostly because we're lacking electronics. Again, if you just look at the profile, you can see, 3 ridges, a big forehead pad, and these really distinctive straps and buckled down flaps for the electronics. So from here on, we're actually going to go forward in time. We started with a replica 1936 helmet. There is a helmet that comes out between that pattern and the next pattern we're going to look at, but they're incredibly rare. You're probably not going to find them. So I don't have one, and I've been looking one for a good long time. However, the next helmet we're going to look at is a 1950s Soviet tank helmet. Now, at first glance, it does look very similar to the 1936 pattern. However, it does have some key differences. So first off, notice it does still have 3 ridges over the top of the head, so that's not too bad if you're a reenactor and you've got one of these. That's going to be the main thing that people will pick up on. But notice that the forehead buffer is incredibly small, but it's also incredibly deep. This is a very soft piece to the helmet. Next, notice that we have these fabric covers for the electronics with inside a rubber holder for said electronics. So this was introduced, as I said, in the 1950s. This is actually for the 10R radio. And again, if you look at the straps for the bottom of the head, well, I'm terrible at perspective in these things, they are roughly of equal length, and we've got a leather buckle at the bottom. Most World War II helmets, it will just be a fabric buckle. It's not even a buckle. Yeah. So here I am wearing the 1950s patterned helmet. As you can see, we've got 3 ridges over the top of the head. It's similar to the World War II one. It's not identical, however. As I said earlier, notice that we've got the very thin forehead buffer. This is distinctive, but it's not the end of the world. The profile of the side of the helmet is quite different. I think that most reenactors can get away with wearing 1950s helmets. They're at least similar enough that most people won't be able to tell the difference. One last thing I probably should add regarding this helmet is that it could in fact carry night vision equipment, and most helmets will have the screw marks in the top of the buffer, which is left over from the night vision equipment. Nothing you can do about that. Most helmets will just have it. Now we're getting into the realm of helmets which are not great for accurate reenactments. They start to lose the features which make them authentic to the Second World War. However, I think with this next helmet, if you have one and you can't get your hands on a 1950s or a World War II helmet, this is going to be your next best bet. So here we have a 1970s Soviet helmet. This one is East German in origin, however, it's identical in every other way. The red on it as well is a thing from a unit, so probably, I think, training. However, as you can see, this helmet now has 4 ridges over the head. So we've lost the most distinctive feature on the Soviet helmets. Also on the side of the head, we've now got these 2 pads instead of 1 vertical pad. The 1950s helmet also had that problem. We've got the same pattern of ear cover with all the electronics. However, on the inside of the helmet, God blimey, you can see we've got some proper ear pieces with a hole for the electronics. This helmet does actually have all all the electronics with the 4-pin adapter from the radios of the 70s. I'm no expert on the 70s. I'm definitely an expert on World War II. For the record, their radios were 2-pinned. So yes, as you can see, we've really started to lose what makes the World War II helmet a World War II helmet. So of all the helmets that I own, tank helmets, this is actually my favourite one to wear. It is incredibly comfortable. It just fits my head perfectly. There's no tightness, there's no strain. It does an excellent job as well at keeping out all the sound. It is a beast of a helmet in that regard. Again, you know, 4 ridges, that takes away what makes these helmets akin to World War II ones. If you can't get a 1950s or a replica World War II one, this one will do the job. It's not perfect. Again, the side profile for you there, guys. This coronavirus haircut I've got going does no favours when putting on tank helmets. Okay, so this is the last helmet we're going to look at. It is also the helmet I have seen used the most by professional reenactors, which I do find quite funny. Um, as I sort of hinted at the beginning, I think that tank helmets are very much an afterthought when it comes to reenactments. People put all their money into their infantry uniforms, and then a group or an individual will buy a vehicle, and all of a sudden you've got to invest in helmets, and if you're really dedicated, like coveralls. And unfortunately, people tend to go for this helmet because it's the cheapest, and they don't really know what they're looking at. I get it. We're not all made of money. I'm certainly not made of money. I'm very poor. Um, I just spend a lot of money when I shouldn't be doing on my passions. Regardless of my personal problems, we've got a big helmet here. This is from the 1990s. So this is the last helmet that the Soviet Union would use before it became the Russian helmet. As you can see on this one, someone has put a nice little hammer and sickle pin on it. You do occasionally see that on tank helmets. Even World War II ones, we see pins on them. But it's not very common. I just got this one in this condition. Anyway, as you can see, this helmet has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 ridges. We've got a problem here. We've doubled the amount of ridges. This really isn't suitable for our World War II reenactments. The head buffer is very small, and it's actually got, you know, another head ridge either side of the helmet. We've got a whole new electronic system. I'm not an expert on anything past World War II, so I'm not really sure what electronics these are. Again, this helmet does have all of the correct electronics. We still have our padded ear pads. We have our throat mic, which is what the 70s and 50s ones had. And we've actually now got a 5-pin adapter for the radio. It is safe to say that this really isn't appropriate for World War II reenactments. If you have to get a helmet at short notice, this will do. It's not great, and you'll see when I put it on in a second that it's not ideal. Nah. No, no, no. If I ever see anyone wearing one of these while reenacting World War II Russians, I'm not going to be a happy boy. I feel like that Chiborashka character from the Soviet cartoons back in the day with these big ears. I can't hear a thing either. That's a good thing when you're in a tank. It doesn't look right at all. I don't even think I can recommend this for a short stopgap. You can get the 70s helmets and the 50s helmets cheap enough before you can get one of these. It's good for me if you have a big collection of helmets, which I'm pointing at over there. Don't do it, guys. This isn't good. So there you go, guys. There was a quick guide to Soviet tank helmets. It wasn't too in-depth. I haven't done YouTube in a very long time, but it's something that I'm definitely looking at getting back into one way or another. As can be seen by my beautiful Soviet tankers overalls, I do reenacting now. I've got 2 full uniforms, a Soviet tanker uniform, which I'm half in now, and a Soviet infantryman from 1941, which is my favourite uniform. I've got everything that you could need for it, and I'm going to be, over the next few months, looking at putting together some informational videos for historians and reenactors on the sort of things that you might need as a reenactor, and the sort of things that the history behind them. So I hope you found this video interesting. I'll do a very brief update at the end for those of you who've been subscribed to the channel for a long time, which isn't very many of you. But thanks for watching. I hope you found it interesting. Leave a comment down below if you liked it. So what have I been up to? I moved out. I got my own room. Love it. I changed jobs. Love it. I can't remember if this came out when I was still making YouTube. I write books now. You should go and buy it. It's on Amazon. I do reenactments. I'm a historian. It's all going interesting for me. I haven't really done YouTube in a while. I somehow managed to double subscribers without making a single video, so I'm now up to like 1,060, so thank you very much to everyone who subscribed. As I said, I'm hoping to make more history videos very soon. I'm just enjoying what I can of life at the moment. Still in a shitty job, what can I do? So, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Okay, this is deactivated before anyone comments, okay?